That's me too. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Now to a CBS 42 murder mystery in Crestwood. A veteran of 2 foreign wars who's believed to have spent his life in defense of our country was found dead in his Birmingham home 9 years ago. John Howard Logan's mysterious death gave birth to another mystery. Who was this man now laid to rest in a place of honor for American servicemen? Who killed him and why? He survived the forgotten war in North Korea and fought in Vietnam. A story told on Major John Howard Logan's headstone here at Arlington National Cemetery. There's an untold story here as well about the recorded date of his death, April 16, 2015. Local news headlines would first report the mystery of a body found in a home on Crest Hill Road in Birmingham's historic Crestwood neighborhood, where John Logan would walk everywhere because he didn't own a car.
He'd walk up to Publix and get his groceries.
That's according to Mary Ellen Jenick, who was his next-door neighbor for 10 years.
I was proud that I lived next door to somebody that was a veteran. I'm sorry that I didn't get to know him better.
Jenick says it wasn't unusual not to see him.
There were some years I only saw him twice a year. And the last time I saw him, he had had a fall. I think he had some kind of accident when he was traveling. You know, that was the last that I knew of him, and then winter came.
Winter turned to spring, and still no John Logan. Looking back at the months before April 16, 2015, Janick says the mystery for her started with an unexpected visitor. January
was the first time when that gentleman came in the driveway and asked if I had seen him recently, because they had plans to go out to dinner and he couldn't reach John.
Did that alarm you?
Yeah, it wasn't unusual for him to take trips. He never really talked about them that much. I did know he did a trip to Europe.
You all called police because you began to smell an odor in the neighborhood.
Yes. March or April, because they finally went in the house because the odor became so bad.
The Birmingham Police Department and the fire department went in and started looking.
Jonathan Ross is a cold case investigator with the Birmingham Police Department.
A couple of hours had passed. They finally found a victim. He lived alone and he was a hoarder, so that's why it took him so long to actually find his body.
The condition of his remains were consistent with him being last seen towards the end of the previous year.
Bill Yates is the Jefferson County Chief Deputy Coroner.
They were partially skeletonized, partially mummified remains, which also is why it was more difficult to find him in the residence.
An autopsy revealed the 84-year-old's cause of death.
He had been shot multiple times in his torso.
Yates says after they put out a notification for next of kin, someone came forward
fairly quickly,
making arrangements for John Logan to reach his final resting place. However, that process took nearly a year.
I mean, he was here for 10 months.
And during that time, Yates says the mystery deepened.
We started getting phone calls from the public about Mr. Logan, but they were coming from across the pond in Europe. Individual who worked with him in the military. I believe after military he might have done some other type of government work. From my understanding, he was fluent in multiple languages, from what they would tell us, and they were concerned about him. They loved him, but they lived in another country.
But police believe somebody here in the country that John Logan fought for killed him in cold blood.
I'm believing that whoever committed this homicide against Mr. John, actually, he knew him. I knew her. Somebody that was in his home that either he felt comfortable with or knew him at the time.
I would hope they would keep looking. I know that there are so many cold cases out there.
For Birmingham police, the cold case of Major John Howard Logan is not a forgotten case. Detective Jonathan Ross says he realizes it's a 9-year-old cold case, but he believes someone saw something that could help. He asks that you call 205-297-8479 or Birmingham Police Homicide at 254 1764.